Hello, welcome to this second part of this session on Jupyter Notebooks and Jupyter Lab. Much of this video is going to be an illustration on how to create Jupyter Notebooks and Jupyter Lab on virtual environment of Python. The agenda of this session, first learning outcome is to install Jupyter Notebook and Jupyter Lab. Once you install them, how to use them through Python environment. After these steps are done, I will introduce how to use Markdown so that you can document what you are writing as a part of your code. And the last step is to convert a Jupyter notebook, which is in IPython notebook extension .ipynb into a Python file. Now, let's begin our illustration. The first step in this process is to ensure that the Python is installed on your environment. And once Python is installed on your environment, it is time to create a virtual environment. If you are wondering what virtual environment is, I kindly request you to refer to the earlier videos on virtual environment theory and illustration. Here I am creating a Python virtual environment by name data science finance. So let's do this. The command is python -m venv. This is the syntax, and the name of the virtual environment is data underscore science underscore finance. So before doing this, I strongly recommend you to check where your path is. My present working directory is under folder by name data science finance. Here I am creating a virtual environment. Prior to doing it, let's look at the contents in this directory. The ls-ltr shows that there is only one directory by name finance underscore venv. Now I am creating another virtual environment through this command python 3 dash m venv is the command line, and then you pass the virtual environment name. I'm mentioning name of this virtual environment as data science finance. As soon as you enter this, it will take a few seconds to create a virtual environment. The command prompt returns to its previous state, which indicates that virtual environment is created. Now let's look at the folders. Yes, you have a virtual environment by name data science finance created here. Now we need to activate the virtual environment done by a file in the bin directory. This bin directory is in this data science finance virtual environment folder that we had just created. So other way to invoke the virtual environment is go to data science finance directory and look at the contents there. You have include lib virtual environment config file and bin. In bin, you have a file by name to it. We are currently in the data science finance slash bin directory. And in order to activate the virtual environment, so we need to do source act. Source is the command. The command prompt earlier was u:\w dollar, and it's been changed to data science finance virtual environment is preceding the command prompt. Now let's try to install Jupyter notebook in this directory. Let's look at the contents in this bin directory. I'm currently at bin directory here. You see present working directory, I'm in the bin, and the contents are these files. So now I'm trying to install Jupyter Notebook by running this command pip install. It's gonna install a lot of dependent packages of web services and browser's UI interface, some kernel interfaces, markdown files in order to ensure that the Jupyter Notebook is running through browser via web services without any hassle. So now Jupyter Notebook has been installed. If you check the contents in this directory through ls-ltr command, you will see a lot of files installed. Earlier, we had only files up to activate, but after installing the Jupyter Notebook, we could see a lot of dependent packages and files. Let's move on and try to open the Jupyter Notebook and see how a Jupyter Notebook looks like. The command to open the Jupyter Notebook through virtual environment is Jupyter notebook. As soon as you enter this command on your virtual environment, it creates a web service. The web service takes you to the browser in the current working directory. I'm in bin. In the bin, I could see all these files. I'll come back to this in a short while. In case you want to quit out of Jupyter Notebook, click on this quit button, which is shown on the top. As soon as you enter the quit, the Jupyter Notebook of this current virtual environment ends the web services and goes back to the prompt. Now that you understood what is Jupyter Notebook, let us install Jupyter Lab. After installing Jupyter Lab and using the Jupyter Lab, I will show you different features of Jupyter Notebook and do an illustration on Markdown. Install using the command install Jupyter Lab. While installing Jupyter Notebook, a lot of dependencies required for Jupyter Lab have already been installed, and it is going to take a shorter period of time to install the dependencies required to invoke Jupyter Lab. Now, the last step is to invoke the Jupyter Lab on your virtual environment. Keep in mind that I have been running all these commands, installing the packages in the virtual environment directly. It doesn't make sense for me to have these packages elsewhere when I am working on a project on this virtual environment directly. To start this session, the command is jupyter-lab. As soon as you run this command, a web service will start, which is similar to Jupyter Notebook, but the screen that you're going to see is a little bit different from what you saw earlier. Here, we are in a data science finance directory. In that directory, we do have different folders and files. As mentioned earlier, the Jupyter acronym is Julia language, Python, and R. These are three different programming languages that you can use through Jupyter notebooks. We are currently focusing on Python. I will start the Python's Jupyter notebook. But before starting the Jupyter notebook through Python, let us try to organize. So I'm learning Python foundation. I would like to create a directory Python underscore foundations. You can name any folder name. In this directory, I would like to open a Jupyter notebook. And in order to do that, you just need to click on this Python 3 kernel. And voila, it opened the Jupyter notebook for us. You can rename the Jupyter notebook anywhere over here on this console part or here on the place where you created the Jupyter. I'm renaming it into, let me give a number, 00 basics. I'll illustrate different aspects of Jupyter Notebook. Now that we have seen how to open a Jupyter Notebook through Jupyter Lab from Python's virtual environment, let me provide basics of a Jupyter. To summarize, whether you install a standalone Jupyter Notebook or you install Jupyter Lab, you will be eventually working with Jupyter Notebooks. Jupyter Notebook look like this, usually opened on a browser with web services running in the background, helping you execute Python. So structure you need to focus on is what kernel is running there. I opened it through Python 3 kernel. This Python 3 kernel will be executing the code behind the scenes. So if you are using R or Julia language, you can run those respective kernels instead of Python. Now, let's try to understand two aspects of it. One is the Jupyter notebook is divided into a cell. A cell may contain code or markdown information or raw details. So we'll be primarily toggling between code and markdown. If you want to write some Python code, like say print hello Python, in that case, make this cell into a code cell. It gives you an output. If you want to write some text, then use the markdown. In fact, you have written the code here and assume that this cell is a code comment. You can move this code comment into the cell ahead of the Python codes. You have cells, you can add new cell or you can delete cell. I will delete this cell. You can delete this cell by selecting this cell and using this X button. You can add cell by using this plus button. You can switch between code and markdown by making a choice over here. That's all you need to know to get going with the Jupyter notebook. If this installation looks like a hassle to you, in that case, you can open something called Google Collaboratory from your Google Drive, which is provided to you by Google. So all that you need to do is go to your Google Drive, install Google Collaboratory and open it. As soon as you open it, Google provides everything pre-installed on these collaboratory files. You can create multiple collaboratory files on your drive. I'm writing print statement, print hello Python. I'm executing this code cell of Python here. In the next cell, I'm writing some comment. This Python cell illustrates print function. The output is immediately rendered on the browser. You can go up. We just replicated same thing on Collab. You can go back and see that a file has been created on your drive. 6 has been created. So in case you're not comfortable in creating a virtual environment on your local and installing Jupyter Notebook, Jupyter Lab and invoking Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab from your command line, you can directly go to collab.research.google.com or install Collab extension on your Google Drive and start playing with Python.